Yeah.
So what was the pull towards the certification
Like I
itself? Like
started
what?
working with my first life coach and I was like, I am going to be a life coach and there is no other options for me. I'm going to find a way to make this work. It feels right. I love the work she's doing with me. So I'm kind of, I guess, just one of those people of like once I align with something, I'm like all in and there's no other options. But I think that's what keeps me successful. So I call it the do whatever it takes mentality to get the job done and to succeed. As long as you're not harming someone else or yourself.
I didn't have the clear visual, but there was a draw. There was a very strong draw in me that made me like want to pursue entrepreneurship, and I didn't know what that would look like. And then when somebody really powerfully coached me for the first time and became my mentor, I recognized it wasn't actually just about entrepreneurship. It was about like doing something that I've been called to do my whole life. Hey, it's Daniel, and you are about to watch a clip from our free podcast, The Coach's Journey, where we help you navigate the surprisingly difficult path of building a coaching business by people who are actually doing it. And we go live, raw, and unedited every week in our free Facebook community. Coaches Nation, welcome to another edition of the Coach's Journey
Coaches. No,
podcast.
it's fun.
We have a very special edition today with a fantastic life coach who's also a personal friend of mine, Krista Kathleen. And Krista and Faisal have been organizing behind the scenes to bring her back to our podcast because we did a podcast with Krista, I want to say a couple years ago.
About 3 years ago, the
3
beginning
years
of this
ago. Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, it's on this podcast, right? And a lot has changed, and the coaching environment certainly has changed a ton in that time. So we are gonna hear directly from Krista and her experiences as a coach and a life coach. And so I'm really excited to have you on today, Krista. Welcome.
Thank you for having me back. I feel so honored to be here again.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah.
Faisal, I'm excited for us to have this conversation with Krista because she's been doing the work of a coach out in the real world, selling, her services. And, you know, I want to just like call out coaches who think it's impossible to sell coaching today because it's certainly not. And Krista's another living example of that. So I'd love to, Faisal, do you have any thoughts before we start as well?
Yeah, well, first of all, I wanted to thank Krista for jumping back on with us. And I've kind of observed Krista in the background in the past few years. She's been consistently sending her emails. I read quite a few of them. And one thing unique about Krista, and at the time, I remember when we had that conversation, she was actually in the process of, and I want to hear more about what happened to her certification. I think get it approved by ICF at that time. I think that's what you were going through, and I could tell you were working through some of the pieces of it. Now it's fast forward 3 years later, she's still running the certification. She's also a life coach. She's been working in the background. She documents her journey consistently. In fact, she did that right here, right before we got started, which I think is great. And it requires a huge, at least in my experience as a coach as well, it requires a huge amount of consistency and showing up over and over for us to build anything meaningful. Sometimes that shows up in social media, sometimes it's in our newsletter, sometimes that's in person. And the way in which we show up is different, but consistency is there, a commitment is there, and it's a long-term process, not a short-term process. And I think what makes Krista incredibly unique is that she is not only a coach that does this as a life coach herself, but she's training other coaches on their skill sets. She runs a certification, and we kind of align in that direction because we help coaches with their skill sets and the business side of things. And I'm not sure if you delve into that side as well, but I'm sure you do a version of it. So I'd love to hear Krista's take on how she's moving forward and how she's been able to sustain her business and support other coaches in the process. It's not only about individual coaches, but it's also about our industry that we're in, which I feel blessed to be a part of because it's given me my life, my purpose, the
Mhm.
path that I'm on, the people that I get to serve and contribute towards. So I'm super excited to hear from you, Krista.
Yeah, yeah. And that was such a scary time when I was applying for ICF accreditation and
Right.
didn't know if it was going to get passed or not. And I was like, my life depends on this. So there was like no plan B for me. I don't know if that's a good way to approach things in life, but I was like, I'm all in. This has to happen. And so thankfully it did. So now we're level two, ICF accredited, currently working on creating a level one training program and lots of other continuing credit educational programs for coaches as well. And yeah, I've just been enjoying partnering with the ICF in that way. And I've been working on other things in the background as well. So I love that you read my emails. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I said in them. Sometimes it is a little unhinged. I have an Aries moon. I like to be bold and speak my mind and put it out there. So yeah, I don't know what
That's
I
probably why you're here because I saw some unhinged stuff in there.
Speaking of mind, is
yeah.
something I love about you, Krista. It's like one of the things that coaches need to really internalize, which is being bold and being true and authentic about speaking your mind. It's hard. It's hard for coaches to do.
Yeah.
You've done it for many, many years since I've known you. So, I
Well,
love
that
that you do that.
when I was going through my first coach training program back in 2017, one of my mentors said is the reason people hire life coaches is they're willing to say the thing that nobody else will say to you.
Mm.
And so I do feel like we have to, in a professional way, but learn how to be bold and unfiltered with our clients and for our audiences.
All right, we'll try to be as unfiltered as possible
Let's do
today.
it. Let's do it.
I'd love to hear a little bit, and for those who want to know more about Krista's journey, definitely go back to that original podcast episode. You will see how this podcast has evolved over the past 3 years, and you will see her perspective then versus now. It's a great episode. We got to learn so much about her path, her life. But I do want to hear a couple of things, and I loved what you said. You kind of burnt all the bridges. This had to happen. You had to go towards the certification. You didn't give yourself a choice, which I think is a good way because that's what I did in my path. But I'd love to hear what made you go towards. I mean, that was an interesting choice to go towards creating a certification, not just any certification, but something that's accredited by ICF, which is a fairly hard thing to get as well,
Right. Yeah.
and continue to do this over the past few years despite that challenge. What made you get pulled towards this path?
Well, even going back 5 years before that, when I got fired from my nursing job and divorced and had this big unknown world ahead of me, it was kind of the same thing. Like I started working with my first life coach, and I was like, I am going to be a life coach, and there is no other options for me. I'm going to find a way to make this work. It feels right. I love the work she's doing with me. So I'm kind of, I guess, just one of those people of like, once I align with something, I'm like all in and there's no other options. But I think that's what keeps me successful. So I call it the do whatever it takes mentality to get the job done and to succeed, as long as you're not harming someone else or yourself.
Awesome. Awesome. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So what was the pull towards the certification itself? Like what, and
yeah.
you did describe that that helped you a lot, which I love that you went through the experience of being coached and then you were pulled towards this path. What made you want to go towards
Yeah.
certifying others?
Yeah. So, this may sound weird, but like it wasn't my decision. I'm very spiritual and I get a lot of ideas and downloads that come through every day from my spiritual business team. I believe we all have one. And when I was going through coach training, I got a download that said someday you'll have your own coach training school. And I was like, that's very scary to hear right now as a new coach. I'm just trying to figure out how to coach. Why are you trying to tell me now I'm going to go out there and train other people? But I didn't, I decided, I was like, I'll just figure it out. And the idea stayed with me. It didn't go away. And then it just kept getting stronger and stronger. And then I signed up for a retreat in Lake Adelan, Guatemala, through Remote Year. And I was sitting around the fire. It was summer of 2021. And then the message dropped in and it said, now it's time to start your coaching school. And so to me, it just felt like a greater mission and purpose that I had been chosen for, and I couldn't ignore it. And why would I? I felt like I was finally like in a place where even I was terrified, to like do something like that because I was just trying to figure it out. No one ever taught me how to start a coach training school. But it was a mission that was given to me. And so I felt like I had to honor it.
Krista, I'm really curious how that kind of experience for you has shaped how you teach coaches. as well when you do that.
Yeah, yeah. With my students, I encourage them to have a relationship with a higher power. It doesn't matter like what they call it, whether they're religious or spiritual, but something like greater than themselves they believe in, and to listen to their intuition and the ideas and the things that come through every day because they do. And that's the greatest thing that's going to guide you to be successful. Because a lot of times we take all of these different like trainings and masterminds and work with coaches and mentors, and they're saying, do this, don't do that to be successful, try this. And it really messes with your head. And then you start doing like what's in alignment with other people's agenda and success. And then you get so far off track from your true mission and path. So I'm just always like encouraging them. And this is coaching 101 is to go within and listen to what feels right and to trust that, even if your family thinks you're crazy or your friends are like, what are you doing? Or, like that's what helped me to be successful is just quiet all the external noise, go within and trust that and listen to that.
And that allows you to be bold and say the truth that you feel, right? That you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I'll wake up with these like ideas, like do a reel on this, do a podcast on this. And I'm like, are you sure? I have these conversations with myself. Are you sure you want me to talk about that? Oh, I don't know how that's going to land with people. I don't know if that's going to offend someone. And if it doesn't go away and keeps getting stronger, then I'm like, okay, I know I have to talk about that or do that thing. So, yeah.
I love this. We have so much to talk about in that area, but I won't go too deep into it. But you did remind me of a vision that I had when I was, this is before I even knew I wanted to be a coach. I just wanted to work with people. And this is about 11 and a half years ago, something like that. And I've been in this business for 11 years. And I got this vision. I would wake up every morning. I had this picture of being on stage and talking to people. Now, this came at a time when I would hyperventilate talking to one person, let alone, so it was the most ridiculous thing, and I kept trying to move it. It would not go away. And then it just, one thing after another, I kept, uh, I'm
Yeah.
like, it sounds ridiculous, but what if there's something in there? What if there's something in that mission? Well, fast forward 11 years, that's what what I do. I'm on stages, which to me, to this day, feels ridiculous because I had to overcome so much to even be in front of one person, let alone a whole group of people. But a lot of it was connected to a vision and intuition that I had that I couldn't shake, which I can relate to a lot.
Yeah.
But thank you for sharing that. That's a cool way of looking at what you follow or what are the guides that you follow internally rather than just listening to
Yeah.
external feedback.
That's literally how it all starts. It's like, yeah, you get these ideas and these visions and these feelings. And if you don't answer it, it keeps you up at night and it bothers you and it keeps
It's
getting
louder.
stronger. It gets louder and louder. And so it's like it almost feels like it gets to a point where you feel like you have to answer it because if you don't, you're gonna start to like lose your mind and have to go to a psych ward or something. But yeah, I think that's amazing that you had those downloads and that vision, and now here it is. It's happening. And so, can you imagine if you didn't listen to
Yeah.
that and pay
Oh,
attention?
I don't can just imagine. I spent the first 30 years not listening to them those messages, and I suffered because of that.
Yeah,
That's what
you
led me
suffered.
towards
Yeah,
addiction. That's what led me towards
yeah.
disconnection. That's what led me towards lack of purpose, because all I was listening to was the people on the outside or whatever the feedback was on the outside. I wasn't paying attention, or I wasn't allowing myself to pay attention, which was actually fairly uncomfortable to listen to that message in the beginning.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
when
I had a
we
very
suffer
similar
the most.
experience too. Sorry, go ahead, Krista.
I was going to say, I mean, that is when we truly suffer the most, is because we're not listening to what we're feeling inside. And that's why people hire life coaches, is so we can share our crazy ideas with our coaches and they can believe in us when nobody else does and say, let's follow that, let's honor that. And right. So, but yeah, I want to hear from you, Daniel.
I was just gonna say, like, I love what you just said. And like everybody has a different experience of this. Like I didn't have the clear visual, but there was a very strong draw in me that made me like want to pursue entrepreneurship. And I didn't know what that would look like. And then when somebody really powerfully coached me for the first time, and became my mentor, I recognized it wasn't actually just about entrepreneurship. It was about like doing something that I've been called to do my whole life. And the kind of the pieces started coming together. And then I started thinking about it differently because the way that I experienced it was like I felt like something was wrong in my life because I was doing things that were like good things, like building my career and stuff, and doing it in a way that I was told that it was the right path. Like I was living other people's expectations, and there's these voices inside, and I didn't hear them as clearly or see them as visually as you guys are describing in many ways. Like for me, it was a lot more subtle, but they were there and they were getting louder over time. And suddenly, like I had this like clarity moments. Like it doesn't have to look a certain way that other people said it had to look, and I could like actually follow my own authentic, downloads, my own authentic path and purpose, which might include entrepreneurship, but it could look totally different. It could just look like helping people the way this person helped me, and so like my first coach, I guess I would call him, in a way, got kind of pushed me onto that path, and I didn't start entrepreneurship until a decade later. But fortunately, I felt more fulfilled and I felt more direction, and then I started realizing I could choose my life. I didn't know you could choose your own life, right? And that was
Mhm.
one of the problems the voices were telling me, like, you need to choose. You can choose. It's up to you. You don't have to do what everybody else tells you to do. So that got louder
Right.
and louder. And then one day I started actually making choices, and that snowballs over time. So I think every coach has a different, origin story and a different download that they got that gets them in the game. And, I love being surrounded by people like you both who have been in this game a decade plus. It's just like that demonstrates like a real commitment. That means you have a true calling, something real deep coming. The voice, the wisdom, the download is coming from within, and that's the thing that's going to sustain coaches. I think coaches who are like, oh, I'm going to make a quick buck. It doesn't really work.
No, no,
So,
that's
so
the worst
why don't we
thing to get into
just dive?
coaching.
Yeah.
Sorry, Krista. Why don't we just dive deep into that? I'm gonna put you in the hot seat around that. You train other coaches. I mean, you're the initial, you're the first line of training for them to go in, well, other than their own experience, to go out there because you're training them in the modality and the way to coach others and the way to channel their own intuition, other things that you might be teaching. And so I'll share this. One of the patterns I've noticed over and over with coaches, they will go through from one certification to the next certification to the next
Mhm.
certification, never once put themselves out there, or they would hesitate. And again, I would bet that all of them have some kind of intuition, some kind of internal guide connected to it, but for some reason they're not listening to that. For some reason they're not putting themselves out there. And their next step is usually let me go to the next certification or the next course instead of doing the hard thing, which is what you're talking about, the bold step of this has to work one way or another. I have to find a way to make it work, which is a whole different way of approaching it. So, what have you found in your experience? First of all, I don't want to kind of dump this on you because this is my observation, but have you found the same thing? And if you have, how do you approach that with the coaches that you work with?
Oh, yeah, that's totally a thing where people become a lifelong student and they just take certification, and they're never applying what they're learning into the outside world. And the past version of me would have probably answered different than how I'm going to answer now. And if someone has the awareness that they're doing that and they're okay with that, I think that's totally fine. If that's like how they want to use their time and money and energy to like be in community and learning and to not use it past that, that's their choice. But if you're coaching someone and they're like really, really wanting to make money and start their own business and they're not doing it and there's a lot of fear and they're hiding behind the certification, then that's a whole different path that needs to be taken and you can coach someone around that.
How would
Uh,
a coach listen to this, self-identifying that, and be like, "Oh, wait a minute, is that me?" Like, what would you tell them if they're like not aware yet that they're doing that?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, well, what was the original reason that you decided to join this training? And are you currently happy with the results that you're getting from the training? If you're not, then why is that? What's going on there? And just get to ask some powerful coaching questions. Because if they're like, because I've had some student, I'm always encouraging my students, like it's easy to be a student. It's easy to just show up to class and receive and learn. The hard part is going out there and applying what you're learning. And let's see, I forgot what I was going to say. what else was I going to say after that? Oh, well, so I guess I'm always encouraging my students to apply what they're learning, and I don't know. I've been up since 5 a.m., so I'm having one of those moments right now.
That's
That's all
totally
right. That's
cool.
all right.
You planted
Well,
a
I'm
great
Oh,
sure
thought.
did I
But
mention that I'm 23 weeks pregnant with a baby girl? So
what?
oh,
I
you
also
didn't.
have a baby
Congratulations.
sucking lots of brain juice out of me. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, congratulations, Krista. Oh my gosh.
I
Have
know.
you already revealed that to the
Congratulations.
world, or is this the first time you're sharing that?
Oh, yeah. Lots of people
Okay, I
know.
figured. I
You
figured.
guys don't
Well,
know. Well,
Yeah.
Faisal might
based on
know. He
how
might.
you were documenting, I'm guessing you have documented
Yeah, I
that.
was thinking there's no way this is the announcement.
No,
That'd be
I want
if
to.
it was, then we would put it at the front.
Yeah, yeah,
I
totally.
think I think
You
I
still
told
could.
the social media world as soon as I peed on the stick. So.
Right, right, right.
That's funny. Let's go towards
But
the, I mean, the all industries are changing mainly because the technology that's coming around, AI is uh, doing a lot for the positive, and it can be leveraged quite a bit in your business and your skill sets. And also the other side of it is that it can also put a lot of people out of a job. It can also change industries, directions
mhm.
of industries, and we don't know. Nobody really knows the direction it's going.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
because you have such a pulse on the market in the sense that people are actually paying for certifications, they're going through your program. You have a mission around this. So I know it's important for you to pay attention to where the industry is going to go. But what do you feel now in the current climate? What are the skill set coaches need that will still be in demand, let's say 3 years later or 5 years later, versus the ones that are going to get sort of outsourced by automation or AI or some version of that or some cool app
Hmm.
that's going to be able to help
Hmm.
people work through it. And as far as I've seen this, even at least the past 3 4 clients that have come through my process, they've already used AI to coach them through multiple things.
Hmm.
And then they're very open sharing. It's like I've worked with AI, especially the younger ones. They've already used that, and even on the older range, they're starting to do that. And then wherever they get stuck, then they're coming to me. It's like, hey, I've been struggling with this for a while, and I've worked with therapists, I've worked with my AI coach, and now I don't know how to make sense of this. I don't know how to move forward.
Yeah,
And then that's where I come in. So, what does it take for coaches from a skill sets point of view to be successful, knowledge and skill sets point of view?
yeah, yeah. I mean, first of all, I love AI and I use it all the time myself to interpret my dreams or when I have little things that come up in the moment that I don't conflict, I don't know how to work through it and just quickly throw it into AI to use it. I have some outdated just marketing strategies in my business right now. And I actually just met with a woman 2 weeks ago who's going to help me to bring more AI lead generation and everything. And she said, if you're not using AI in your business is it's most likely not going to survive. And so I just think there's more efficient ways I can be doing things. And in the past, I would be so resistant to that and so fearful. And now I'm like, you know what? This is the way our world is going. Let's just stay open to it and see how we can work with it versus fear it or push it away and act like it doesn't exist because it's definitely not going anywhere. But I was just actually talking with a family member last night who's a physical therapist, and he was talking about how he brings AI into working with his patients and what it's allowed him to do. And I feel like it's relatable because it's a service-based industry, is he's allowed to be more present with his patients when he's working with them. And then the AI will record his voice and then capture the notes afterwards, and has saved him hours for having to take notes. And the AI is able to capture notes way more productively than what he could ever do. And so it's really been an asset in that way. And so same with like coaches as well too. I know there's that fear of is AI going to replace coaching and are people just going to want to work with AI instead of hiring life coaches? And I think that human component and connection will never get old because it's like even like when you talk to someone on the phone when you need help from you're like you're talking to a bank and you're like I just want to talk to a human like I like you want that human connection and that human bond and that someone who can like listen to you and really understands. And I feel like that's missing from AI. So there's a lot of great things that AI can use to help us build our coaching business and use us like with note taking with clients. But I don't think people are ever going to want to stop talking and connecting with other humans because we're emotional beings and we create oxytocin bonds and so I don't know. That's just my raw thoughts with it, but I'm not worried about AI taking over and replacing life coaching.
Daniel, I
And
know this is an
what do
area
you
you're
guys
passionate
think?
about. Any
Yeah.
follow-ups there?
Yeah, I was just processing through what Chris was saying. I think there's a lot of truth to the human connection and the needs we all have. And one of the reasons that coaching works the way it does is because of the human ability to connect and to there's a word for it, to synchronize our minds and thoughts. You can do it even across a virtual connection. And when people are in sync, the rules change in a way that it doesn't change with just the information. Like AI is based on information, but humans also have this dynamic going on, and so there's a huge different like energy component to that. And I think there's something sacred about that human connection that AI can certainly simulate. There's lots of AI companions out there, and they will give you a simulation of that, and you can go pretty far with that sometimes. But coaching is particularly unique in a couple of ways. I think one is that you have this sacred container of safety where the intention is human to human. And when you have the human to human connection, you create this energy opportunity to synchronize. And when you synchronize, suddenly the conversation level changes. I don't know if you both noticed this too, but like you can have a conversation with AI about all kinds of deep stuff. You totally can. But when you're talking to a human, it goes different places than it would have gone. And it goes to places
Yep.
that the AI wouldn't go to. And I can I'm pretty good at directing AI. Like I can direct to wherever I want it to go, but then I have a conversation with a human who has some life experience, and I get other insights. I get other things that are not so informational and not so process driven. I'm a very process driven, informational, engineering background type person, and so like that's really beneficial to me. There's two things that I typically want from coaching type relationships. One is like figuring things out, and I think AI will help us figure things out faster from a technical perspective, from a like a implementation of systems perspective. Like you can get the information you need at your fingertips any second now. So coaches don't need. I don't think coaches are going to really benefit from having lots of information to give. They might have their frameworks and their ways of thinking that are beneficial, but it's really going to be the relationship and the trust and the connection between people that are going to be very much more valuable. I think AI is actually going to make the human connection even more valuable because people are going to be starved for it as we
Yes.
as we
Yep.
as we seek both meaning and progress and results in our life. There's some results that we will help AI will help get us, but humans are not, I don't think humans are going away soon from this process just because of that human factor. And like it's still early in the game. We have no idea what AI is going to do in 10 years. So,
Right.
we think we
Right.
know some things, but we don't really know anything. So I'll say like everything I'm saying is what I really think today, you know?
Yeah. And a couple more things to add is like the empathy piece. AI can't
Hmm.
do that. Like being for a human to say, hey, I have been through something similar, and is it okay if I share what I went through? And to hear that you're
Hmm.
not alone and someone went through that, like AI could never do that. Or like I get intuitive downloads for my clients all the time that are like usually spot on and accurate. AI is not going to be able to do that as well. So yeah, there's a lot of things that we can provide as coaches that AI just can't. And remember, Daniel, we came up with that phrase, or I shared it with you, like less information, more transformation.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a long time ago. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that AI is great at providing information, but is that what people are really seeking when they're looking to work with a coach? They want more of that transformation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes they think they're seeking for information, but they're actually not. That it's a
Yeah.
surface need, and if the coach can surface the deeper needs that's coming from and support them in that transformational process, that's a very different game than logging into your AI every day, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then one other thing around this is I was just in Costa Rica 2 weeks ago for a 5-day intensive. I'm doing a psychedelic coach training program. And one of the first exercises they did on the opening night was we had to stare into each other's eyes for 5 minutes, which is so challenging and hard and scary. And my partner was a male. And I have never had a man hold space for me like that and just like gaze into my eyes. And I didn't have to do anything in return. And I started bawling. And it was like just so impactful. And so, again, something like AI could never be able to do that. Like someone who can just look you in the eyes and show you love and send their warm, positive energy to you. And all you have to do is just be there and receive it. Like it was priceless.
Hmm. Yeah.
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 Wow.
So there's a case study recently for me that came up where it kind of describes the AI and human interaction very well. I recently did an event for an organization, so it was a group of execs, CEO, directors in a room, about I think about 16 of them. This is fairly recent. And this, I had to work on designing this whole session. It was a reset for the whole organization on the leadership side. And here's the benefit of AI. First of all, I put all my thoughts into here's how I'm thinking, my transcripts of the sessions with all these execs, and here's how they're thinking. Here are the major problems in the company. Here's where I want to take it to. Actually, also before talking to AI, I had a conversation with another very successful and experienced facilitator. Got his perspective on it. I put all of it in the AI model. I use ChatGPT for this, and I got it to basically, I had the initial design. I got it to, okay, help me understand which pieces I'm missing, where I should focus on, where I shouldn't, and then I had to work through that. And of course, even with that, you need an experienced side to be able to see whether it's giving you garbage or real, because you would have had to facilitate a session to be able to understand what that looks like in reality versus what the model is. So I look at it and I refined it, and I actually just the most powerful thing it did, I got it to create the whole flow, the all the slides very quickly within a few couple hours versus days.
Things that used to take forever.
Forever. And it was interesting. So as I was taking them through the process, I upfront I didn't talk about AI upfront, but I did share it in the middle. But I told them this session is going to be dynamic. I have some plan prepared, but we might completely go off the plan, and I'll adjust as I go. Because then I told them up front, I'm going to be reading the energy of the room. I'm going to be seeing the interactions, because it wasn't me speaking. I was facilitating a deeper conversation, an uncomfortable conversation to say the least, between interdepartment, and for them to deal with real life challenges in the company, and how they're going to move that forward towards the vision and mission of the company. And I was kind of going through that. I was adjusting as I was going, and somebody made a comment. He's like, "I love these slides. They're so great." I'm like, "Yeah, it's all AI." I didn't even hesitate to tell them, but they could see I was constantly adjusting throughout the day. It was 8, 9 hours we were in that room. It was very dynamic. I didn't do half the things that I had planned. I was skipping slides. I was good. I had charts that I had asked them to. Some charts I used, some charts I didn't. I got them to do different things that I didn't expect, just based on the energy of the room. And it goes back to how dynamic and complex human interactions can be. And I feel like, one, partly understanding that from an observation point of view. Two, as a coach, being able to tackle that in real life. It's going to be a very, especially in person, but also even virtually, it's going to be a really important asset. And AI is actually freeing us up to focus more and more on that, rather than on the prep work, which used to take weeks, if not
Right.
days.
Right. I mean, already hearing you talk and you saying like, "Oh, I did this presentation on AI," and I was kind of like, "Oh," and then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, but I'm improvising and I'm skipping slides and I'm reading the energy in the room," and then I felt my energy like being pulled forward of like, "Oh, I want that. I want that like." Really being present and in the moment and being intuitive and reading people again, all things that AI can't do. So like that's the part that really got me excited when you were talking. And I love
Yeah,
that
and
you
in
were I would say I love that you're honest about using AI as well. I was literally just designing a training this morning for my mastermind members. I'm going to be teaching them about how to run free online challenges. And I'm using AI to create it. I'm like, is this okay to like be doing this? And I mean, I'm still putting like my input into it and adding things on top that AI is missing. But man, AI does make it so much easier to create slides and deliver trainings in that way.
Yeah,
The difference,
and
Krista, is that you're the
go ahead.
curator. You're the person who has the taste, the experience, the lens, the decider of what gets included, what doesn't get included, and
Yes.
what is acceptable to what you're trying to build. Right? You're holding that sacred space for your students, actually. And AI is a suggester, of course, and it can speed
Yeah.
you up hugely. But when you say like, no AI, I don't want that. Actually, here's what I want. Actually, going more in this direction, you're shaping the experience that your students are going to have, and you're telling the AI, you're actually in charge of your AI rather than the other way around. Now, you can also
True.
leverage AI to help you figure things out, but like AI is speeding you up in theory, or increasing the quality in some ways, right? So it depends on how you
Yeah.
use it. But it sounds like to me like you're in charge here. You're the one who came up with the challenge. You're the one who's putting it on. You have to show up and be
Yeah.
the improviser, you know? You're not like how you use AI is up to you. You can decide whether you put your own work into it, or if you decide to steal other people's, like people have done that. They steal other people's stuff and just put it out. But then they get in front of people and they're like, I don't know what I'm talking about because this is somebody else's stuff, so they can't take questions. And you can kind of
Right.
tell the difference, right? And so I know you, Krista, like you're gonna bring your own personal experience to that, and it's gonna be powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. I love what you said of like I'm in control, not AI. Like I'm control. I'm the architect here and
Correct.
AI is just a tool.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I was sharing something with Daniel this morning around I was taking data from different places about my ideal clients, people who had
Yeah.
signed up over the years, my Stripe data and my Trello, which is all my CRM with my clients. I combine all of them in one, and I got AI to pick out the patterns of buyers versus not, people who moved through my sales process versus those who didn't. And there are things that I saw that I kind of intuitively knew, but I couldn't put data, numbers, process into it. And that was really powerful. And that's what AI is built for, is to take large amounts of data and make sense of it for you.
Yeah.
But the condition is that you've actually done any kind of work in the background. I had hundreds of questionnaires that was
Yes.
filled out. I had a lot of it Stripe data over the past 11 years. I had quite a bit of CRM leads who have come through my pipeline, gone, and it's combining all the data. But imagine I didn't have that. What will AI give me? A bunch of made up stuff, which it
Oh,
does.
this has happened. I like there's a somebody that was talking to me the other day about a survey. So they were doing surveying people, and the person that had done surveys that before them had like got data, and then another person had I think the story was they had like asked AI to like summarize the survey data, and then AI said like I can make personas for you. So it made up a bunch of personas, and then somehow the persona data became survey data, and it started sampling its own made up data. And so then the realization was like, oh, we could like do these surveys and make up fake people based on what we think, but that's not actually accurate. It's like you can like when you put garbage in, you're gonna get garbage out, right? And in the world of AI, it's just really beautiful garbage on the way out. You can't, it's like hard to tell. So you have to be very thoughtful about what you're putting into the system as an input.
Right.
It's like you got to be the architect and know what's garbage, right? And a lot of people don't know that the thing that they're getting is actually not really real, not really true, or not really useful.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it'd be
So,
a cool podcast episode is to get a bunch of coaches together who regularly use AI and share, yeah, how do you use AI in your business? Maybe you've already done that, but even just what you said there of like your Stripe bake accounts and your survey respondents and everything. I'm like, I would have never thought to do that. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
So that's actually what we do
she
in our
does it once a
community.
month.
Once a
Ah,
month, we gather a bunch of coaches. We don't do that as a podcast, but we bring them together. And the reason why that came up was both Daniel and I have recognized how you can go into rabbit holes with AI
Totally.
for for a long
So
time
easy.
and not get any kind of real output, and you've wasted a bunch of time. But
Yeah.
and a lot of that experience, even that waste, we have figured out some things about certain things, and other coaches have figured out other things. Other business owners have figured out things. So the idea behind the session was let's bring the real experience and let's remove the distraction. What are the things that are usable for you in your coaching practice, in your
Mm.
business, and what are the things that are not? And that has become one of the, I think, fairly new. A few months we've run it, and I love that in the sense that it actually gets rid of the every day there's a new app, there's a new model that's coming around, but that
Mhm.
gets us to focus on which ones we're actually using, and it's giving us an output that's usable for us to serve our clients,
Yeah.
build our business, and keep it sustainable.
Like
And
actually
I think there's,
beneficial, right?
yeah, there's power in that. I want to move the conversation in a different direction.
Sure.
So one of the other sessions we have in our community, we've been doing this for what, 6 years now. We used to run these coaching chains where we would get
Oh man.
coaches
Yeah.
to coach each other one on one.
Oh
We've done
my
like
gosh, the
17 of those too.
complexity.
Daniel had to deal with the complexity of all that. Then later on, we transitioned towards a coaching clinic, which is a lot like we'll be in a session like this, or like six, seven, eight coaches, and one of them is coaching the other one. The rest go off, and we just
Mhm.
observe for about good 40,
You mean
45
they turn their
minutes,
video
and
off, but
they,
they're still observing, you know.
yeah,
Mhm.
we're observing in the background. Two are on video, one is coaching, the other is being coached, and the whole process is a feedback session. I think we might be one of the only business type of community that focus on the coaching skill sets part. One of the most common patterns I've noticed, and maybe Daniel, you can speak to that as well, over and over, that a lot of the surface level coaching skill sets, like surface questions, such as what are you going to do about that? What's your next step? Or accountability type of things that you do within coaching, and related to surface productivity, surface things in relationships that happen. A lot of that stuff, coaches are still using it, but it's not effective to turn that coaching session into a transformational coaching session.
Mhm.
Almost every feedback that we've seen, whether it's come from us or from other coaches that are really good, or that you either didn't notice the discomfort, you weren't present enough, or you didn't go towards the discomfort, you didn't ask the question that was in your mind versus the question you did ask, you were a little bit distracted, you were in your head, like real deep stuff that actually connects to the human experience as we've been talking about. But we
Yeah.
find that over and over, a lot of the reason in the real world why coaches are not able to transition a potential client into a real client is because they're not going deep enough. And to make matters worse, now they have another avenue where, without much vulnerability, they can open up to their AI model and just share the surface stuff. Now they get on a call with a coach who's asking them the same thing. That's why would they pay that person? Why would it go in that direction?
Right.
What
Right.
what are your thoughts about that? Like, have you noticed a version of that, or
Yeah, I mean, this is what I do for my job is the same thing as I'm observing and listening to coaching calls all day. And then we have our coaching skills labs and same thing, they turn off their videos, one coach, one client, and then we're doing feedback. And this is in the ICF world, this is where what makes the difference of like a level one program versus a level two or ACC versus PCC coach. At the PCC level or level two, you're doing the transformational coaching. And so the ICF calls it the who versus the what. So the what is the surface level topic that the client brings to the session. And then the who is really, it's coaching the person and not the problem. And they say that change really starts from within. So someone can just take these outward steps, but if they're not changing their mindset or their beliefs or looking at their inner values or the way the relationship they have with themselves, like nothing probably going to change much in their life. And that's, you're right, what makes a transformational coach is being able to really go deep and coach the person and not the problem.
Daniel, any input there? Because I know
Yeah,
you've observed
I
those
think there's
sessions too.
I think say that again, Faisal.
Because you've been part of those sessions too, and I
Yeah, no,
thought that you might have
I
a
feel
different
like
perspective.
there's a huge amount of truth to what Krista you just shared. And there's another level above that, MCC, right? Above the first two levels that you shared. And would you say
So
is there? I was curious. Is there a third distinction above that in ICF?
there is. Yeah, so that's a level three training. I got my MCC 2 years ago, Master Certified Coach, and that's the highest that you
That's
can
hard to
go with
get. So like amazing. Yeah, that's
credentials.
really
Yeah,
amazing.
thank you. I think it was my goal to be the youngest MCC credential holder in the world. I don't know if I'm not. They wouldn't release that information to me, but I'm just telling myself I am.
You can say like as far as I
If it
know.
helps.
As far as I
As far
know.
as I know.
Yeah, most MCC coaches are usually like in their 50s, and you have to have at least 2,500 coaching hours and gone through 3 coach training programs. So I really did actually enjoy going through my level three to get my MCC because it's more about the being versus the doing. So you completely let go of obviously the person brings their topic to the session, but then like you completely let go of that and you're just truly coaching the person. And then you're really like hands off the wheel, letting the client drive the session, really trusting them that they're going to be able to come up with their own solutions. And the more that they feel that you trust them, the more they're going to trust themselves, and you're really present, you're really in the moment, so you're really hearing and everything they're not saying, those energy shifts, their tone, their pacing, the emotions that are coming up, and you have to really slow down as well too, and you bring in a lot more space, you're doing a lot less talking. So for new coaches, this would be their nightmare because new coaches yeah, they like to do a lot of talking, they want to be considered the expert, and like you have to completely take a back seat and let your client be the star of the show and let them drive the session and trust that they're going to get there. And then asking those really like deep, thought-provoking questions in the moment of when something comes up, they're like, oh, that's interesting. Tell me more. What's going on with that? Where did that come from? Why do you think that is? So I absolutely love doing MCC level coaching now, but it was hard to get to that place and let go of the doing.
Yeah, Krista, you're saying something super profound. So I want to just reinforce for our listeners. Like there's like this tendency, most coaches have it. I've got it. We've all been through that, these different levels of coaching in one way or another. And the tendency is to drive, like leading in a coaching session is different than driving the conversation forward. It's different. Because like if you need to be the one to drive the conversation forward and move it forward all the time, the client feels like you're going to do it. So they're not building that muscle of them doing it because they're like, oh, I need to trust the coach, not myself. There's like a really subtle point here about coaching where the more you believe in this client's ability to navigate their life, the more they will do it more and more with you in the session. And so part of the delicate balance for coaches, how do you foster that muscle building while also helping lead them forward in a way that doesn't take away their muscle building? Like you have to both lead them to build it, but also not lead them to let you do all the leading and building, right? So it's like there's a little bit of a tension there, and that's the fine line that as coaches I think we need to walk in sessions with clients, is sensing where is that line. How you're like a personal trainer in a way, like you got to push them to do it for themselves. And you can't do the push-ups for them, but you can help them along the first few push-ups and like then help them along differently for the next few. Like it's a very interesting tension, I find.
Yep. Yep, exactly.
So, Krista, what do you feel in the current climate with all these changes in the economy and technology? And I mean, industries are for sure changing. We don't know how they're going to change, but it is the changes are here to stay, especially connected to AI, which means that there's opportunity for us to grow here, opportunity for us to learn as we've been talking about it, opportunity for us to focus on the human element. In fact, it was, I think, one of the tech giants who said that, or trainer in the tech space, I think it was a CEO who said that maybe AI is here to help us be more human because we've spent the past few decades thinking like machines,
I love
which
that
is
so
which.
much.
Which I love, and it came from a tech
Yeah.
person. It is like, and I really believe that. I think part of the transition that people are going to change jobs, directions, career paths.
Mhm.
And one of the first things that goes away is a sense of purpose, a sense of clarity, a sense of direction. Who is going to help them along that path? Who are going to be there? I think coaches play a role there. But in the meantime, I don't think every coach is going to be successful. That's never been the case. At least the past 11 years, I haven't
Right.
seen that. Most coaches are not successful because of certain some of the underlying factors we talked about. But what do you believe will make coaches go ahead of others? Like what will be the distinguishing factor for coaches in terms of how they show up, their skill sets, how they approach their business?
Well, I want to backtrack a little bit. Is I do believe that every coach can be successful as long as they define their own version of success.
Okay.
Right? Because like if we define it for them, like this only means you're successful if you're making money and you're working for yourself and you have a certain amount of clients, then that would mean that a lot of people are failing. Right. But like I always tell my students, like you can do whatever you want with your coaching skills. You can just keep them to yourself to improve your own relationships with your partner, with your kids, your coworkers. You can infuse them into what you're doing to your day job. You can go work for someone else. Like I've gone through a couple different Reiki training programs, and I love the way they teach Reiki. And it's like you can't do Reiki wrong. Like you get to use your Reiki however it's meant to show up in your life. And so I'm trying to like use that language more with your coaching too, because I don't want people to not feel successful if they decide to train to become a coach because they'll use those skills for the rest of their life. They'll use it in their everyday interactions and the conversations with themselves and with others and just emotional regulation. And so I do believe that every coach can be successful as long as they define what that is for themselves.
Then let me reframe. Those who have defined it as I'm going to be successful in business of coaching, how would you
Right,
approach that
right.
question?
Yeah, I mean, to be a successful entrepreneur and business owner, there is like certain rules that you have to follow or not follow. But I mean, like it goes back to like you, if you're going to be a successful business owner, you can't just be showing up to your certification and not applying it and not taking action, right? Like that just doesn't work that way. It's kind of like saying like, I want to have six pack abs but I don't want to have to go to the gym and I want to sit on my couch and I want to eat Doritos all day. Like, well, I don't know how that's going to work or that's gonna, you know? So I think it's the same thing as like if someone really wants to be successful in business, you got to be willing to take action each week. You got to be willing to fail. You got to hear a lot of no's. You got to have a clear offer that you're putting out there that is going to help solve a problem. You have to be able to have money and resources to invest in your business before your money starts or your business starts making money, right? I mean, there's just like certain things that you have to commit to doing and being if you're going to be successful in business versus just saying you want to have a successful business. Yeah, put your money where your mouth is, right?
I love that. And it's straightforward. And a lot of times I feel like coaches make it complicated. And I love what you said in the beginning that you need to define what success looks like for you. And I also love your framing that you can use this knowledge for all kinds of reasons. And actually, when I started out, initially it was not actually supposed to be. The first 6 months, I was like, I need to improve my own life. This is helping me a lot. And until I decided, you know what, I can help other people with it too. But that was an honest thing that I said to myself that I need to leverage this in my own personal life and my relationships. And there are quite a few coaches who are honest about that. But then at some point, I think they start to convince themselves that, oh, there's not, it's not working. The business is not working. They're doing everything.
Mhm.
But what we're saying is be honest in the process. If your goal is to build a business with this thing, that requires a very different approach than what you're used to. And it's an uncomfortable
Right.
approach. It's not easy to put yourself out there. And Krista knows that's just showing up day in, day out. We know that's showing up day in, day out. In fact, it's probably one of the hardest things to help client get to a transformation. I can't tell you how many times I've gone through this process with clients and I look back and I could have done this better. I could have done that better. And I'm still learning a lot of the process. It doesn't matter what kind of education you have, what kind of certification you have, you will be learning with your clients. And the better clients you get, the better you're going to learn in the process.
Mhm.
But I think it does start with being honest with yourself more than anything else and know what you're trying to do with whatever certification you've gone through. I love that frame. I'd love to hear get everybody in our audience and those in our community to learn where they can find you, Krista. I'm sure they will gain a lot out of your certification. Please share a little bit about where can our audience find you.
Yes, borntocoach.org is the name of our coaching school because we believe that, like you had talked about earlier, that this is a skill set that that you feel that you've been born with. And when you work with a coach or come into contact with the coaching community, it just feels so familiar and like you've been doing it for a lifetime. So that's why we named the school Born to Coach. And then my email is hello@borntocoach.org. And then my IG is at Born to Coach Academy. So it just doesn't have the training in it, Born to Coach Academy. And then I have a YouTube channel as well. I believe it's Krista Kathleen Life Coaching. I can give you all those links. But yeah, those are the best ways to find out what I'm offering and stay in contact with me.
Krista, how does a coach know if you're the right like person for them to train with? Like how will they know if you're the right person? Like who are they? These students that love your school that really need you.
Yes, because they're already naturally coaching people. They're like checking out at the grocery store, and then someone behind them like just feels their energy and opens up to them and starts sharing their life story and their biggest life goals. And they didn't even have to say anything. And it's like you just have this like warm, inviting personality to you that just naturally encourages people to open up, and people walk away from your conversations feeling inspired and motivated. So those are the students I love to work with that have those natural coaching skills. And then, but you can't stop there. Like, you're not going to be a successful coach by just being a natural coach. Like, you do need education and training. And I always tell my students, your coaching is going to change so much in the course of a year. And you're going to come in thinking you don't have that much to learn. And then you're going to start learning and you're going to be like, holy shit, I know nothing. So it's fun for me to watch the process unfold and to see how much we are natural life coaches, but we can be learning the skill set for the rest of the life till the day we die and still have never completely mastered it.
Yeah, completely agree. And that's probably part of the reason why I'm in this, because it's going to be a lifelong learning experience
Yes.
for us. And if you're listening to this as a coach, connect with us, connect with Krista. If you need further training, definitely we recommend her. We've seen her being dedicated to this path. Nobody's going to stick around for this long if they don't care about this. It's not easy. And connect with us if you're trying to actually build your business and you're in it, and you can be honest that, hey, I'm ready to build my business, not just go to the next certification. Then we can support you to go to the next level, not because we have some magic formula, but you're going to be in a container where we're going to push you to grow. We're going to challenge you. You're going to hear other perspectives. We're going to get you to be more honest with yourself in the process, and you will get a process for you to apply it to. And that process is based on a lot of experience, not just some theory or model, and you get to test it out. We don't claim we have all the answers, but we know that our community will help you implement the process. So definitely share this with a coach friend. There's over 3 decades worth of experience here in this conversation. I'm sure it'll help them out.
Yeah.
And we'd love for you to share this. And until our next conversation, hope you have an incredible day. Take
Krista,
care,
thanks so
y'all.
much for being with us today. Really appreciate
Thank
you.
Thank
you.
you,
It was
Krista.
really fun.
All right. See you next time.
Bye.